Okay, have you heard the one where I was bullied? So there's multiple stories with this one, and I know everybody pretty much in their existence has been bullied one time or another. Well, I mean, maybe not everybody, but for the most part, that is true. I grew up and I was in a very awkward stage. And I'm sure, oh, you were an adorable child, Corrine. I'm sure you're mistaken. No, I was adorable in the beginning, and then I hit a stage. And I am talking Paul from the Wonder Years. That is not an exaggeration. This is truth. So, I mean, I was cute for Paul from the Wonder Years. I was a gymnast. So I was like a little string bean full like of muscle. I cut my hair real short. Like, I don't know what my family was thinking, but it was real bad 80s short. And to make it even better, I had a tail. Oh yeah, a rat tail, 1980s rat tail that we bleached and I braided. Did not help. It did not help. I don't know if I thought I don't know what I was thinking. I was young. There were many mistakes. But even like my mom, she was, she was sweet, but she's like, you're going to grow into your nose and, we're going to have braces and it'll help your teeth. So she even knew. They loved me for who I was, but it was rough. There was a rough patch there. And I would say it would go up until, it went up until high school. So throughout my childhood, there were not so much bullies as just, offhanded remarks of like, oh, you know, well, some of them were very creative. My favorite was roses are red, violets are black, or roses are red, violets are black. I don't know. They're kids. Roses are red, violets are black. Why is your chest as flat as your back? And I'm like, oh, that was actually pretty creative. Because I was a gymnast and I was totally flat and boobs were my enemy. So I was taking that one on. It was a lot about the mouth. I'm very gummy with my smile. So Arsenio Hall was like a big one for like, ooh, 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 to me. Yeah. Like, are you a vampire? But the one that was steady throughout my childhood was Mrs. Ed. Mr. Ed sometimes too. And I don't know if you know who this is. Mr. Ed was a character. He was a horse. They were calling me a horse face. So horses that talk. So that was kind of like my underlying character throughout my childhood. So it didn't bother me too much. I wasn't really tortured with it. And I feel for those families that have to deal with this now with the technology that we have, that you cannot get away from it. So the kids are getting tortured in the schools, but then they're getting tortured at home because of social media. And then it's just never ending. So I was very lucky not to have that be my, life. So as I became a teenager, I decided that I wanted to try public school. And one of my closest girlfriends went to public school, and I think the other one did too. And they tried public school, so I'm like, I'm going to try public school too. So they took me out of the private Catholic school and put me in this public school that was a shocker. I'll tell you that much. And this was the time where I was already getting a little wild with my dress, like dyeing my hair red and doing a little things to be a little outrageous. And I was sitting, I remember, in the office when we were coming to the school for the first time, and a lovely young girl came and said, oh, like, I guess I look like, the type that she would hang with. And she's like, you look like a nice person. My name's Debbie, and I would love to show you around the school. I'm like, hey, this school is the best. This is the greatest. And I did. I found a little niche of people, that had piercings and liked new wave music. So I found a little group, and there was also another group, and I think this was got to be seventh or eighth grade. And these were the jocks. I guess they were jocks. I don't even know. That sounds very like 80s school. But yeah, they were definitely a group of boys. We'll just say that. And they had it out for me. So I'd say there was about 5 of them. And they were in an older grade than me. And they would harass the living daylights out of me. I remember being in lunch, and that was the time they really got after me. And most of the friends that I had in my circle were in a different lunch period. So I would be sitting there maybe with a couple of people, but mostly alone, because this is a new school for me. And they would surrounding me, saying like, "Hey, Mrs. Ed, what you gonna do? Eat a carrot for lunch? You got carrots?" And I, being in seventh and eighth grade, I'm like, is this a little sophomoric? This is a little immature. So it didn't like stick with me like that they were insulting me. It was more like, this is really annoying. I'm trying to eat my lunch. I can't digest right because you're insulting me. And people would like feel uncomfortable, so they didn't want to sit with me. And it just kept happening and happening. And I remember my dad, Al, taught me the Hoboken Hustle. I don't know if he made this up. I don't know if this is a real thing. But he said that the Hoboken Hustle, and he did this once, was basically when you're being harassed, or I think it was happening when he was being mugged, but you just pretend to be crazy and you just lose your shit, and it like throws them off. And so I decided I was going to pull the Hoboken Hustle on these innocent boys. So they, again, just constants, and they were surrounding me again. It was lunch. And I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I can't take this anymore. This is making me absolutely crazy. I stand up on the table and I start kicking all the food off the table and the trays, and everything's going everywhere. I'm throwing sodas at them. And I'm like, I don't even remember what I yelled, but I think I screamed something of like, "You're not bothering me, I'm gonna bother you." Or I don't know. I thought it was cool at the time. And they didn't bother me much after that. I think like they tried to bother me, and then they were like a little like nervous what I would do. Of course, I did get in trouble, but not too much trouble. This was like literally one semester. And then I got the heck out of that school. I was like, I can't do this school anymore. It's just way too weird. It was very movie, it was very 1980s movie. I was just a little like too many pockets, and I just didn't fit into any of them. So I went back to that Catholic school. Oh, I might have actually gone to a self-progressive school after that. No, I had to get kicked out of the school first. So I went and got kicked out of the school, and then I went to a self-progressive school, which I graduated from with high honors, I might add. But I mean, going to a school where mostly filled with criminals and pregnant ladies, I did, I think, get valedictorian. So there's that. But my favorite part about running into those guys and then doing the Hoboken Hustle is that I would say a year or two after I had left that school, and I think I had already graduated high school. So it was something where I had a job. I was kind of, I was already living on my own. And I remember like hanging out with Al, and we went to the grocery store, and one of those punks was bagging my groceries. And I was like, ooh, what do I say? What do I do? Like, this is like reparations. I just couldn't, there wasn't anything that I could have said or done that would have like fulfilled that circle. It was really knowing that, like, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with somebody bagging your groceries, but and he thought I was like cute, like he didn't recognize me, and he was like, "Hey, bagging your groceries," and he was like trying to flirt with me, and I'm like, oh my God, you don't remember me. And that's all I really said. I said, "You don't remember me, do you?" He's like, and that's all I said. And it was fulfilling. So I didn't have to insult him back. I didn't have to like pick a fight. It really was full circle in the fact that like I had grown and become a woman. And yeah, I grew into my nose, and nobody ever calls me horse tooth. So I really tried to not let it bother me, but there were times that it really did. But it was kind of nice to have him bag my groceries.